The following program is sponsored by Investment Property Experts. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and its guests and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this radio station and its affiliates. All information, materials, and estimated returns discussed or presented are for educational purposes only. All services described are optional and are provided by Investment Property Experts, its affiliates, and independent third parties. All listeners are encouraged to consult with their attorney, accountant, or financial advisor before entering into any type of investment. Millionaires are made in times like these, so if you're ready to become one, then this show is for you. Welcome to Investment Property Experts, where you'll learn the secrets and strategies for earning top dollars in today's growing Arizona real estate market. And now your host of Investment Property Experts, CEO Daniel Butterfield.
And welcome to Investment Property Experts. This is Daniel Butterfield, CEO and founder of Investment Property Experts. We are a business, a real estate investment business that helps investors invest in real estate. Now, what I mean by that is we are a real estate investment solution provider. Now, what's the difference between us and everyone else? We don't just provide real estate and investments, but we provide solutions. Solutions for your retirement. Solutions for you to get retired, solutions for you to stay retired, and solutions for you to achieve your dreams and make your life better. Now, we have a track record and a history of working with investors, helping them invest in real estate. I personally have been helping investors invest in real estate for the last 18 years. Now, that experience is not something you can get from a book. You can't get it from a tape. You can't get it from a DVD. So here's how we work. We go out and find properties. When we go out and find properties, we buy these properties and we use our own money to buy the properties. Once we buy the properties and the money comes in, the properties come in, what happens is we then will either renovate the property and then we will find a tenant and put the tenant into the property. In addition to that, sometimes we buy properties that are already been renovated. They already have tenants in place. In that case, what we'll do is we'll buy the property, we'll vet the tenant, and then what we do is we will make sure the property's cash flowing and we can sell that property to you. So that means that if you want to buy properties, you can simply walk into our office. You can make sure that you like us, we like you. We can make sure that you understand our process. We can make sure that any questions are answered that you might have. And then when you're ready to buy a property, we can show you some flyers and some investment packages. You can select the property that you like. You can base it off the cash flow, off the 2-year projection, off the 12-month moving average. And then once you select the property, we will make sure that we can help you buy that property. Now, I have a special guest here today, Julie Weisenbeck. Julie's part of our investor sales team. And I got done explaining how you can buy properties from Investment Property Experts, but I'm going to have lovely Julie Weisenbeck explain how we can also make you a pile of cash flow. So not only can we help you buy properties, but we can help you create cash flow, something that pretty much does not exist right now today. Because if you put your money in a bank, like a Wells Fargo or any bank, pretty much, you're going to get a return of, I think, 0.01% in a savings account, maybe a checking account. And so, Julie, could you please explain for our audience exactly how an investor can not only, invest in real estate, but also create cash flow with IPX?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that for you, Daniel. Thank you for having me, by the way. It's a pleasure as always. As far as earning cash flow for yourself, for your retirement situation, that would be in our deed of trust program, where you actually hold first position deed of trust in a situation where you are actually lending to one of our property investors.
Well, let me ask you a question, though,
Okay.
because you made it sound too easy.
Well, it actually pretty much is that easy. We take care of everything that would possibly be a headache for you. And what I mean by that is if you're using IRA funds, if you have a retirement account, we will roll those funds into a checkbook control LLC free of charge. And in doing that, whether you have an IRA or cash, by the way, you can lend to one of our investors and receive a 9% return, annual return, monthly payments, though.
So once in a while I get this question, and the
Okay.
question is 9% seems awfully high, and that must mean that it's a high-risk investment. Now, here's how flexible I am. What I do for people when they ask me that is I say, tell you what I'll do. because I'm the type of person that wants to cater to the investor, to cater to the client, cater to our IPX family. When you invest with IPX, you become part of the IPX family. And so if you think that the 9% indicates that the investment is kind of risky, what I will do is I will lower it to 7%.
Oh, boy.
Yep, that's how nice of a guy I am. I'm willing to bend over backwards to take care of my clients because I care. Now, unfortunately, many people have not taken me up on that offer. They said, why would I invest and make 7 when I can invest and make 9? And then they say, well, is it a different investment? No, same deal, just 7% versus 9. And they say, well, that doesn't make sense. I know. And then they end up investing, making the 9% because they know they cannot get 9% anywhere else. Now, at the end of the day, we've done deed of trust investing for the last 14 years. I personally have done deed of trust investing with numerous investors for the last 14 years. We have an impeccable track record, and we have a 0 default rate to date. Okay? Oh, I rhymed. We have a 0 default rate to date.
To date. And you know what, actually, Daniel, that's a really key point. Not only do we have a 0 default rate, but maybe something we should talk about is why this is not a high-risk investment. Yes, you will receive 9% return, but let's talk about where the risks really are and why it's not so risky.
Okay, let's dive into this.
Okay.
So there are 2 types of deeds of trust you can invest in. One is where you lend money to IPX, okay? Now, remember back when I said we're buying properties. Well, the type of properties we buy are pre-foreclosures, and we also purchase a lot of properties in bulk. Now, I know what everyone is thinking. What they're thinking is, what about all the properties in the MLS? Well, tell you what, go call up an agent and ask them to buy you a great investment property off the MLS and see what happens. What's going to happen is you're going to find a lot of deals that make no sense at all. And that's why right now today we focus on pre-foreclosures, and we also focus on buying properties in bulk. Those are where the best deals are. Trustee sales, not so much. On the MLS, not so much. Lender-owned doesn't exist, okay? So as you are looking at properties, as I'm looking at properties to buy, pre-foreclosures, that's pretty easy. We might buy, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 pre-foreclosures a month, but the bulk properties is actually the most exciting. And here's why. It's the barrier for entry.
How many properties did we buy in our last bulk package? Wasn't that like 141?
That was one package, but for the month of August, we actually closed on like 164 properties. And, anyone can do it, okay? Mm-hmm. Anyone can do it. All they need to do is get a check for, $17 million, okay? And it has to be a good check. As long as you have a check for $17 million, you too could buy these properties in bulk. But not really, because actually, if you think about it, what we had to go through to earn the respect from the institutions was tremendous. We needed to not only meet with the principals, but we had to convince them that we could perform. We had to show them that we had the money. We had to do our due diligence. We had to do 100 on that 141 inspection package. Do you realize that we had to inspect all these properties? I think it was like in 15 days, maybe 20 days.
Well, and that shows a lot about IPX and who we are. We aren't just going to pick up any package of properties. We are going to do our due diligence, and that earned us a great deal of respect from these individuals.
And so what we found is that's exactly it. When we did all these inspections, the institution said, I have never seen a team work so quickly before. And I said, welcome to Investment Property Experts. We will be here all day, all week for the next 20 years. And after that, my son hopefully will be taking over the company. Thank you for listening to Investment Property Experts. If you are interested, all you have to do is give us a call at 602-254-6244 or investmentpropertyexperts.com.
Real estate investing has never been easier. Welcome back to Investment Property Experts with your host, CEO Daniel Butterfield.
Welcome back to Investment Property Experts. This is Daniel Butterfield, CEO and founder of Investment Property Experts. If you just joined us, we are Investment Property Experts. We are real estate solution providers, and we help investors not only buy investment real estate that's 100% turnkey, but we also help investors invest in deeds of trust where you can earn a 9% return. What does that mean to you? Well, for every $100,000 that you invest in a deed of trust, you can earn $750 per month. So let's think about that for a second. I know some folks that have worked for, I don't know, say the last 40 years of their life. Let's just take an individual. They worked for the last 40 years of their life, and let's say they made, I don't know, $50, $60, $70,000. How much do you think they'd qualify for Social Security?
You know, Daniel, I don't know what that number would be. 40 years, $50,000 a year. Are we looking at about maybe $1,800 a month?
Yeah, 18, 19, 2,000, something like that per month. And so if we think about this, if you had just $300,000, you could literally, $300,000 invested in a deed of trust, you could literally make $2,250 per month. So let's see, what would you rather do? Work for 40 or 50 years and rely on Social Security for your retirement, or work hard, earn $300,000, invest it in the IPX deed of trust program, and then earn the $2,250 per month? I'm just trying to put it in perspective. Yes, it sounds too good to be true, but it's live and it's real. And for the last 14 years, we've been doing this. So now it's time for you to join the IPX family by calling 602-254-6244 or learning more about us at investmentpropertyexperts.com. So I want to transition to why 9% is not too good to be true. I want to explain why our investors are protected when it comes to our deed of trust program. In fact, before I explain, I'm going to have Julie explain.
Well, let me give you a little bit of my insight and what I understand about things. And Daniel, please feel free to chime in if I'm missing something or you'd like to add to it, of course. But, you know, you're backed by a piece of real estate. You know, should anything happen, you do have that real estate that you can always fall back on. And what I like about that whole concept is the investor that you're lending to is putting 30% down, and you're lending an additional, the additional 70. So you've got that 30%.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because
Right.
I'm sitting there, I was just the whole time thinking about how a deed of trust is filed against the property and how the homeowner can't sell the property unless the investors pay it off. And I mean, to me, that's like the total ultimate protection. But then on
Correct.
top of that, the investors that you're lending to are putting 30% down. So on a $200,000 property, they're putting $60,000 down, which leaves a loan of $140,000 for the deed of trust. So who in their right mind would walk away from $60,000 to default on a deed of trust?
Not only that, when we sell the property to the investor, there's equity in place.
I forgot about that. So it's not just walking away from $60,000.
Yes.
It's like walking away from $70,000 or $80,000. And so this is why the deed of trust investment program has been impeccable, has an impeccable track record for the last 14 years. It's because we designed it. IPX designed the deed of trust investment program in such a way that if there's a problem, the problem can be solved. But chances are, if you're invested in our deed of trust investment program, you will have no problem, unless there's one way you can have a problem. The only way you can have a problem is if you don't call 602-254-6244.
There is one more piece of the puzzle, maybe more than one, but I'm going to mention this one, the foreclosure mitigation program.
Oh, it gets better.
FMP.
Okay,
Let's
you know what,
talk
Julie, what would
about
I do
that.
without you?
I don't know.
Holy
Let's
cow.
talk about
Okay,
that
so
for a
let's
moment.
talk about that. Okay, so our deed of trust program, there are two types of programs. They both earn 9%. They both earn 9%. And in one case, you're lending to IPX. In another case, you're lending to our other client. So when we go and buy properties, so remember back when we talked about the 164 properties we bought in August, that was $17 million worth of capital that we needed. Now, we keep some money lying around somewhere. I don't know where they put it, but it's somewhere around here. But on top of that, what we often do is we will have investors start to invest in our deed of trust program, and literally that $17 million is literally coming from our deed of trust investors. Now, when they lend to us, we're going to pay you 9% interest only, paid monthly. And it comes from an accounting department directly to the investor. But there's another program that we have. The other program is when we sell a property to an individual that has a retirement account, a self-directed IRA. Let's say they have a 401k. Let's say they have a 457. Let's say they have a 403b. Let's say they have an IRA. Any one of those, what we do is we can roll that into a self-directed IRA. We can create a checkbook control LLC, and then we can help this investor with their self-directed IRA buy an investment property, and they can use a 30% down on their investment property and finance the other 70%. Now, what happens if for some reason they didn't make the payment? Do you think the investor, the deed of trust investor, is going to be in trouble or not?
Very, very good question. Well, that's where the FMP comes into play.
That's right. That's exactly the foreclosure mitigation program. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've never heard this term before, and the reason is because it doesn't exist. I created the term foreclosure mitigation program. What it is it says if ever an investor that owns a property ever misses a payment to the deed of trust investor, then what the deed of trust investor can do is call up IPX, and IPX will make the payments on behalf of the rental property investor. We will make the payments.
How much does this cost to opt into? There's got to be a price tag on it.
Yeah, it's the same as rolling over your IRA.
Zero?
Yep.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Exactly.
Right.
So a lot of people are thinking, wait a minute, these crazy people are on the radio and everything they talk about is for free. So Julie, how do we make our money?
Well, let me see. I know that answer. The way we make our money is when we sell properties to a rental property investor.
That's right. That's how we make our money. We are in business to buy and sell properties. We are investors. We're investors helping investors.
And the reason we offer these other opportunities for free, these other services, is because it allows us to sell more properties, which then we make more money.
That is exactly correct. So basically what you hear is how you can make 9%, whether lending money to us or lending money to other investors. In either case, we're the backstop. Because if you lend money to us, well, you already know what's going to happen. Your checks are going to come every month. You're going to get paid off before the term of the note is due. If you lend money to other investors with the FMP, Foreclosure Mitigation Program, once again, you are insured to get your payments to make sure that you're going to become whole with our deed of trust investment program. Now, why did we create all this protection? Because that's our job. Our job is to protect our IPX family members.
Well, we will protect you, but what I'm curious about is if I'm not sure which investment I want to be involved in, how do I define that? And will you help me with that, Daniel?
That is actually probably one of the most confusing things for investors, because I meet people, they walk into our office to attend a one-on-one consultation, and they're like, I think I want to do deeds of trust. And then they're like, well, can I really make that much money on buying properties? I'm like, yes. Oh, but the deed of trust has great cash flow. Yes. Well, the properties are looking good too. Exactly. So what you have to do is we design your investment strategy. We take a look at where you're at financially. We take a look at where you want to go. And then we take a look at any obstacles that are in the way. We remove the obstacles. And we help you get from point A to point C. Remember, point A to point C. So schedule an appointment now, 602-254-6244 or investmentpropertyexperts.com.
Real estate investing has never been easier. Welcome back to Investment Property Experts with your host, CEO Daniel Butterfield.
Welcome to Investment Property Experts. This is Daniel Butterfield, CEO and founder of Investment Property Experts. Here we're talking about our Deed of Trust investment program where you can make a measly 9% return. That will make sense in a moment if you listen to the rest of the show. So here we are talking about the FMP, the Foreclosure Mitigation Program. And a lot of people ask me, why did you create this program? Why did you create a program where if rental property investor defaults, the IPX will pay the deed of trust investor their monthly payment? Why did you do that? Well, here's why. This is the real story. I realized that I started to work with a lot of folks that are very late in their retirement years. And they were very concerned that if the deed of trust, the rental property investor did not make a payment, that would completely mess up their retirement because they're relying on this money. A lot of our investors have a couple $1,000s in Social Security. They might have a pension, but they need more. They can't do all the things they want to do. So if they put $200,000, $300,000 in the deed of trust investment program, that's when they can earn $2,250 per month. But what if there was a problem? What if they didn't receive their deed of trust payment? It would wreck not wreck, it would hurt their lifestyle. It would hurt the quality of life that they would then become accustomed to. And so I thought, okay, how can I solve this problem? Well, I decided that I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to take responsibility for the rental property investor. I would tell these investors that I have faith and trust that the rental property investors are going to make all their payments. They put 30% down. They have equity in the property. They have wealth. These rental property investors, they're quite affluent. They have some wealth, and so I was so confident that they're going to make all their payments. I decided to put my money where my mouth is. And so I created the FMP, and the FMP is where IPX can make the payments to the rental or deed of trust investor if ever the deed of trust rental property investor did not. Now, after, a long time, 0 defaults, no problems. And so it just proves that our system and our process is not perfect, but pretty close to perfect. And when problems arise, we take care of the problems. And that is the big story of how the FMP was created for the people later in the retirement years that wanted the safety and the insurance that they could invest, make a high return at 9%, create cash flow, because you can't get it anywhere else. And that's why you have to dial 602-254-6244 or go to investmentpropertyexperts.com.
One of the things you were talking about in the FMP that I really like is that, we do step in, but you didn't mention that we also will retain then the right to foreclose on that individual should need be. That saves a tremendous headache now let me put that big if out there, if that ever happened. We have a 0 default rate. So
that is correct. I'm glad you brought that up, though. I'm really glad you brought that up because it is something that I gloss over only because it's never happened.
It's never happened.
And so, but it's important to explain. So let's play this through. Let's say a rental property investor borrows money from one of our deed of trust investors. And by the way, we settle this stuff up. We work with the title company. We work with our real estate brokerage. We work with the investor. We find the property, make sure the property's renovated, have the tenant inside. We work with the property manager, make sure the property manager is transitioned to the rental property investor. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but that's why you're working with us, because we are a turnkey real estate solution provider. And so let's say by chance an investor, rental property investor, misses a payment. Well, then the deed of trust investor will make a phone call to us. We'll start making payments. Now, we do have the right to foreclose on our rental property investor. We take over that right to foreclose.
Would you really want to do that to one of your investors,
Thanks
Daniel?
for stealing my thunder, Julie.
I did.
When I was thinking that you're with me, I find out that you just want to shine bright, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So that is exactly correct. We are not going to simply foreclose on our rental property investor. What we're going to do is Julie would probably call them up, and Julie would say, Mr. Investor, Mrs. Investor, whoever, what's going on? I got a report on my desk that there was a payment missed. By the way, we made the payment for you, but we need to make sure we solve this problem. What's going on? And chances are maybe they went on vacation, they went camping, or they forgot, or maybe the check got lost in the mail. Who knows? In either case, we're going to help them solve their problem. Maybe they're in some financial dire straits. And so let me explain. Remember the 100-year flood?
I do.
Well, when the 100-year flood came, I have an investor that two investors. I'm going to tell you 2 horror stories. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
During the 100-year flood, one problem was a pool pump that had drowned. Okay.
Poor pool pump.
Yeah, poor pool pump. And so, that's like $900 out the door that you'll never see again. And the investor literally said, well, should we build a stand for the new pool pump so, it doesn't drown again? I'm thinking, why would we do that? I'm like, when did it drown? He's like, during the 100-year flood. I'm like, so maybe we don't need to build a stand to put the pool pump on because chances are we won't have another 100-year flood in 100 years. Yeah. Exactly. And so anyhow, that wasn't too bad of a problem, but the other problem was more serious. What happened during the 100-year flood was the tenant that lived in the property cared about their property so much, they hired a person to help redo the landscape. The person they hired happened to not be licensed and bonded, and they put this plastic that was not porous on the ground. Porous means that when rain hits the plastic, it can actually seep through into the ground instead of right on top of the plastic. And so this all happened, and then when the 100-year flood hit, where do you think the water went into? It went right into the tri-level basement, and it flooded the house. Now, what that did is it cost, I think, $4,800, and that happened to be about the amount of reserves that was left for that particular investor, and he was worried about making his payment. Now, in this case, he was able to make his payment, and what he did is he did the best thing he could ever do. He called our office and said, I need help. And I said, wait a minute, who is this? Oh, it's one of our IPX family members. So since you're an IPX family member, we're going to help you out. And this individual was pretty stressed. I mean, he was worried. And I said, what are you worried about? You know how much equity you have in your house? He's like, I don't know. I don't care. I don't have any money in my IRA, and I don't have anything to roll over. I said, tell you what do you need? What would make you comfortable? He's like, $5,000. Just, I want that money back. Okay, we'll give you a loan. We'll give you a loan, and with no payments. That way you don't have to worry so much. This is not rocket science. I didn't say that because it is complicated, but we have been rocket scientists for the last 18 years, and so we know how to build rockets, and they fly fast.
Well, and I'm really glad you mentioned that point, because that's one of the things that makes my job not only fun, but really pretty easy. When I'm talking to our family members, I'm talking to them as a family member. I want to help them, and to know that you are going to step in a situation like this, that IPX is on their side, makes them feel very comfortable and makes me feel very comfortable.
You know, we do make it sound easy, and it's because we've worked so hard in the last 18 years to make this happen. And the fact of the matter is, it feels good to help people. Honestly, that's probably our biggest motivation. Is it feels good to have people walk in. They're concerned. I mean, look at what they went through. 2001 crash, 2008 crash. They've worked 40, 50 years of their life. They don't have near as much net worth as what they thought they should have, and they don't know where to turn to. And every time they turn to somebody else, they get let down. Well, let me tell you something. At Investment Property Experts, we're here to help. We're here to change your life for the better. We're here to change your children's life. But there's one thing that we cannot do for you, and that's pick up the phone and dial 602-254-6244. I'll tell you the number again, 602-254-6244. Or if you're web savvy, go to investmentpropertyexperts.com. But I hope to see you in a one-on-one.
Real estate investing has never been easier. Welcome back to Investment Property Experts with your host, CEO Daniel Butterfield.
Welcome back to Investment Property Experts. This is Daniel Butterfield, CEO and founder of Investment Property Experts. If you haven't already, called 602-254-6244 to get your Jumpstart Guide to learn how you can invest with Investment Property Experts. Now is the time to dial. Or you can go to our website and register as well, investmentpropertyexperts.com. I want to switch gears. So I've been talking about 9% return. And I'd like to know if you want to make more money. I can't hear you. Okay, I heard you. So here's the deal. The deal is 9% is great. 9% is better than you can get pretty much anywhere, anytime, any place. Considering that your money is protected, considering that you can follow your money, considering that this investment is more of a secure investment opposed to some wacky investment. We'll just leave it at that. We'll just say wacky investment.
Okay.
But it gets better than 9%. You can also increase your returns by 2 times. Maybe
3 times.
4 times. I've seen investors 4 times, 5 times. I've seen investors make 5 times that of the 9% deed of trust program, and it's through buying investment properties. Now, on the surface, it doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense, because it's like, well, if I apply my capital to a deed of trust versus applying my capital to a rental property, how is it that you can make 4 or 5 times the amount of return?
Well, one of the key points is using leverage, putting 20% down if you're going conventional financing, and then watching that money grow through appreciation.
You hit it right on the head. That's exactly it. So think about this, guys. 20% down. So if you invest in a deed of trust, say let's use a $200,000 property. So you invest $200,000 on a property. deed of trust. You invest $200,000 on a deed of trust. Well, that's a lot of money, right? You earn 9% on your $200,000. However, if you're going to buy a $200,000 property, you're going to put 20% down. That 20% down is only $40,000. So in other words, you're putting 1/5 the amount of investment into the investment. And because you only put 1/5 into the investment, it's likely you could make about 5 times the amount of return on that same investment. Now, I'm summarizing high level. You have cash flow. You have all this stuff going on. But actually, let's investigate this more. Now I'm getting interested in my own conversation here.
Right.
So what's going on is you buy a house and you put 20% down. The first thing you're going to think is, where's the other 80% come from?
Well, where does that 80% come from?
Like a lender, a bank, or something like that. You might pay, if you've got conventional financing, you might pay 4.875%. If you do financing with our in-house financing program, you might be paying 9%. So call it 5 to 9%.
Okay.
Well, guess what? The rental income pretty much covers the amount of your debt service. Debt service is the monthly payment that many of us have on our apartment or house or whatever. Whether you rent, you have a monthly payment. Whether you own, you have a monthly payment. Everyone has a monthly payment. And so in this case, the rental income will pay for the debt service, the monthly payment. So you can cancel those two out. It's like doing calculus. And then you're left with the other 20%. And so that 20% is going to grow because that house is appreciating because we're in a seller's market. We have low inventory, high demand. We're appreciating. The reason we know this is because of our technical indicators that we look at every single week. Technical indicators, exactly.
That is a really good thing to mention because we look at everything from contract ratio to price per square footage in a particular zip code. And this is information that that IPX isn't specifically looking at. We go to a third-party source, and this is somebody that we truly respect. That's very, very valued in the community.
So let's so we already explained how you can make 5 times the return potentially on investing in real estate with leverage, whether it's 20% down or 30% down. But now let's understand why we know where and how to invest. Well, there's this thing called the Cromford Report. The Cromford Report is a company owned by Michael Orr. Also, Tina Tambor is a senior real estate analyst. They utilize data that is derived from Tom Ruff, who's the president of the information market, before it's sold to the ADRE MLS. And so here we are. And looking at this technical data. Now, a lot of people will look at the technical data, but they don't know why or what it means. It's like reading it. Remember in school when you started a class and you get a textbook.
And you read through it, and then by the time you're done, or
nothing.
even get through the first chapter, you're like, what?
What is this? Well, like, what am I supposed to learn? See, just because you're reading through a textbook, just because you're looking at questions and answers, doesn't mean you actually understand. And so that's why they created this word called studying, okay? And so what we do is we study the Cromford Report. We actually commission Michael Orr, Tina Tambor, and Tom Ruff to actually create custom reports for us, tailored for our investment strategy. They create these reports, we study them, we talk to them, we study it some more, and that's what helps us understand where the market is going before it goes there. Right now we're in a seller's market. Right now we have low inventory. Right now we have a growing demand. And because we know of all these indicators, we are able to anticipate how to buy properties, how much to pay, and we can pass that savings to you, the investor, so that you too can buy properties, put 20 or 30% down, use leverage, and make 4 or 5 times the amount of a deed of trust. So another big question is, what do you do? Do you do deeds of trust? Do you do rental properties? What do you do? Let me tell you what you do. You call 602-254-6244, and we will work with you. When you meet with Julie, we will work with you to help you figure out the direction that you are going to go so that you can achieve your goals, your retirement goals. We're going to get you from point A to point C, but you got to call 602-254-6244 or go to investmentpropertyexperts.com.
You know, I've had a few people tell me that one of the reasons it took them a little bit of time to pick up the phone and call to make that first one-on-one was fear of not knowing enough about investing in real estate to make that move. And, you know, oh, what if I'm doing the wrong thing? Well, one of the things I like to point out is whether you're a rocket scientist or a school teacher or you work at Walmart. for goodness sake. And that doesn't mean anything disrespectful, but no matter what your intelligence level is in real estate specifically, you can invest with IPX and know that you have a partner in this to support you. We do all of the homework for you. We'll guide you.
I'm glad you brought this up. I mean, we work from attorneys, doctors, dentists, all the way to truck drivers, house cleaners. Remember the house cleaner we met with $400,000?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so there's a wide range of people. And the reason I'm glad you brought this up is because I remember I listened to the radio, and I would hear these people talk about how we can do all this great stuff for you. And I'm like, oh, great. It's like another IPX, right? They can do all this great stuff. Financial advisor I'm talking about, okay? And then they'd say, but if you don't have at least $1 million, don't call me. And then it got better. They say, but if you have $500,000 or like around 500 or more, but less than $1 million, don't call me, but you can call this other guy that you've never heard or met. And I'm like, what is going on? Like it's kind of crazy. And I guess it's kind of a niche for financial advisors to kind of do that. And so at the end of the day, I'm thinking, that's not the way we're wired. We like to help people. I don't care if you have, you got to have some money, right? You got to have some money, whether, call it $30,000, $40,000. You have to have some money. So if you have some money, then you can come meet us by calling 602-254-6244. Schedule that one-on-one meeting with us today. 602-254-6244, or go to the website, learn, and then register, and then schedule. 602-254-6244 or investmentpropertyexperts.com.
The following program is sponsored by Investment Property Experts. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and its guests and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this radio station and its affiliates. All information, materials, and estimated returns discussed or presented are for educational purposes only. All services described are optional and are provided by Investment Property Experts, its affiliates, and independent third parties. All listeners are encouraged to consult with their attorney, accountant, or financial advisor before entering into any type of investment. Millionaires are made in times like these, so if you're ready to become one, then this show is for you. Welcome to Investment Property Experts, where you'll learn the secrets and strategies for earning top dollars in today's growing Arizona real estate market. And now your host of Investment Property Experts, CEO Daniel Butterfield.
Hello and welcome to Investment Property Experts. This is Daniel Butterfield, CEO and founder of Investment Property Experts. Before we left you, we were talking about how some other investment professionals require you to have a certain amount of money. And sometimes they have a minimum of $500,000, some $250,000, some $1 million. Well, I guess you have to have some money to invest, but we specialize in working with middle class. I would say that over 90% of our clients are middle class, working folks, worked for the last 30, 40, 50 years of their life. They're just trying to figure out how to get retired. And the reason they are having a problem is not necessarily their fault. And the reason I say that is because think about this. A baby boomer. Baby boomers are many of our clients. So if you work for, say, 30, 40 years of your life, and then all of a sudden 2001 hits, what happened? Your retirement gets gutted.
Lost a lot of money.
And so then you work for another 7 years or so, building it back, working harder, making sure that you're getting retired, and then all of a sudden 2008 hits, and then it happens again. So when this is happening to you, you start to realize that you're going to retire in about 5 years, maybe 6 years, 7 years, and your clock is running out of time. And that's when you get nervous, and when you get nervous, you make bad decisions. And unfortunately, sometimes you go to the wrong person. So some financial advisors say, well, you can, I can help you invest, but if I do that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to help you preserve your capital. And I'm like, why would I just want to preserve? Oh, no, don't worry. We'll help you save your money. In other words, I promise this time I won't lose it all for you. And I'm thinking, save, preserve. I don't like those words.
How about grow?
There you go.
I love the word grow.
That's what I like too. Grow your retirement. See, it's possible to retire, create cash flow, and also grow your retirement. And that's what we specialize. That's what we do. We can create cash flow for you through our Deed of Trust investment program, and we can help you grow your retirement through investment properties by putting 20% down, 30% down in our in-house financing program. The 20% is conventional financing, but in either case, you're going to grow your retirement by working with investment property experts.
That's correct. And, you purchase these properties, you hold on to them while the market is doing exactly what it's doing today. And that's what I like about it today. We can take advantage of the appreciation that is actually taking place to help you grow your retirement.
So here is something I want to bring up, because everyone says, yeah, those are words.
Those are words.
But let me tell you a story.
Okay.
So I have an investor that came to me, and he was working at, what do you call it, greenskeeper? Yeah, greenskeeper. And wait a minute, let me get this straight. A greenskeeper works at a golf course?
I believe so. They keep up the greens.
Yeah, and they keep up the greens.
Grass.
They keep up the greens.
There was no other way to say that, Daniel. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's okay. We're allowed to have fun, I heard, once in a while. It's okay. So this person, let me explain his job function,
Thank
okay?
you.
His job was to quote grass. No, now that sounded funny too. He quoted the green grass that you put in your front lawn, okay? That's what he did. So people would call and be like, I want a bunch of grass. And then he'd be like, well, let me give you a quote for that. And then he'd give him a quote. And so he sold, like flour. I don't know what he sold. I know it was grass. It was green. So at the end of the day, though, he was making $100,000 a year. And
nice job.
That's a lot of money. But he's been there for like 30, 40 years, works for a reputable company. But he's always worried that he's going to get laid off. And so I said, well, Paul, what are you going to do if you get laid off? Well, if you get laid off, if he gets laid off, he said, I'm going to go work for Home Depot. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, how about your house? Is your house paid off? He's like, no, that's my biggest stress. My house is not paid off. And I said, Paul, I'll tell you what. How about if I teach you how you can literally pay off your house in 2-3 years, and if you get laid off, no problem. In fact, if you get laid off, don't even need a job. You can just sit at home, watch TV, and get your house paid off in, say, 2-3 years. He's like, how in the world can you do that? What I did is I presented a strategy to him where he could buy 2-3 houses. And if he bought these 2-3 houses, those 2-3 houses would actually appreciate enough based on us being a seller's market so that at the end of 2-3 years, he can sell the houses, take that money, and pay off his existing house, whether he had a job or not. The key is to get into the 2-3 houses first, and then once he's in, he can get laid off, he could get fired, he could quit, doesn't matter, because those 2-3 houses are going to appreciate enough to pay off his first house. I just solved his problem. And he was on track to pay off his house in 12, 13, 14, 15 years otherwise, but now he has an opportunity to pay off the house in 2 to 3 years. That's what Investment Property Experts does for you when you belong to your IPX
family.
That's right. When you belong to our IPX family, we take care of you. And so that's why you should call now at 602-254-6244.
Yeah, and that's really important because one of the things that we want to do is get to know you, get to know who you are as a person, what your goals are. And Daniel, you mentioned before getting somebody from A to C and then figuring out what that B part is. And that's really key because not you nor I nor anyone else in this world has the exact same
You know what? You just gave me an
situation.
idea. The
And
ABC. Let's talk about that. Okay, so
Okay.
in that situation, his Paul's A, he had IRA funds. I think he had a 401k. He had some cash. He had cash as well. And so that's his A, his financial status. And by the way, this is what we go through in the one-on-one. When you call 602-254-6244 and schedule a one-on-one, this is what we go through. Where are you at financially? What is your A? Now, once we figure out where you're at financially, then what I figure out is where do you want to go? What is your goal? And once I understand what your goal is, like for Paul, he wanted to pay off his house, he wanted to retire, and he needed a little bit of extra cash flow, okay? And so that was his goal. That was his C. So we got the A of where he's at financially, and then we got his C of where he's going to go. So what is the B?
The B would be the investment strategy. How are we going to get him to C? What is that going to entail?
The B kind of glues A to C together.
Correct.
That's exactly correct. So we are going to supply the B, remove any obstacles that you might have in between A and C, and we're going to help you get from A to C.
Sometimes it feels so difficult or scary to get to that point, but when you have somebody like you or me or IPX team member, family member, sit down and just go over it, it just is like this huge weight lifted because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel and that it is possible to get to your seat.
We do make it look easy.
We do.
But it's only because, think of it this way, a doctor. When you meet with a doctor, how many patients has he already met with? I mean, if they have 18 years experience. Oh, by the way, I have 18 years of experience investing in real estate. So if a doctor has 18 years experience, he's met all these different patients over and over and over again. He doesn't see many things that he hasn't already seen. The same thing with us. Okay, consider me your doctor. Consider me your real estate expert that can help you get from point A to point C so that you can achieve your retirement goals. And it's only because I have helped so many investors achieve their dreams, increase their net worth, create cash flow. Because I've helped so many people do this, I've already seen this all. I already know all the strategies that can help you help yourself. But the one thing I can't do for you is dial the phone. So pick up the phone now and dial 602-254-6244 or go to investmentpropertyexperts.com. If you haven't already, get a copy of our Jumpstart Guide. Get a copy of our Cromford Market Report, 602-254-6244 or investmentpropertyexperts.com.
Real estate investing has never been easier. Welcome back to Investment Property Experts with your host, CEO Daniel Butterfield.
Welcome back to Investment Property Experts. This is Daniel Butterfield, CEO and founder of Investment Property Experts. I'm here with the lovely Julie Weisenbach, who's part of our investor sales department. Chances are, if you're going to be working with us, you're going to be working with Julie. And, well, Julie, I have a question for you. How does somebody actually meet with you?
Well, they pick up the phone, they call, they can go to our website and schedule an appointment that way, and we will schedule a one-on-one.
That is the perfect way. You can reach us on the internet, on the website. You can send us an email. You can call 602-254-6244. Either way, we will be here for you. Now, one thing I have a question. Here's a question that I have. And so I meet with investors that have invested in, whatever, something in California, something with this financial advisor, invested in some stocks. And I always ask them this question, not always, but sometimes, where's your money? They're like, and then they hold up a piece of paper and they say, it's right. It's on this piece of paper. This little spreadsheet, says how much money I have. Okay. And I'm like, wow. So you don't really know.
That's a really good point. I think I know where you're going with this, and it's so true. Just because I have a piece of paper in my hand and this individual that I'm working with tells me this is where my money is, I don't know where my money really is. And if I lose my money, where'd it go? That's a big question for me. Where did my money go?
That's exactly. So we came up with this phrase to help other people out. And the phrase is follow your money. And so what we mean by that, because people, the first time I said that, they looked at me and like, why would I follow my money? It doesn't move very fast, right? I'm sorry. Now I have to say it, okay? So, so you know what? I'm going to not bring us off track, and I'm going to keep focused, okay?
Okay,
so follow the money. So here's the follow the money. Follow the money. What you need to do is when you invest, if you invest in some company or invested in stocks, chances are you're not going to be able to look at their financial statements. You're not going to be able to look at the CEO or meet the CEO. You're not going to be able to meet the upper management. You're not going to be able to really follow your money. You're not going to be able to really understand if you're invested in a company, like a stock or a bond or mutual fund or something like that. You're not going to be able to understand exactly where your money is. However, with a deed of trust or a property, let's talk about property. When you invest in a property, you own the house. You know exactly where your house is located. You can drive by it every day. You can touch it, feel it. If there's tenants in the property, try not to touch it too much, okay? It's not polite. But you can if you give 48-hour notice, okay? In all seriousness, you can't just go into your own house when you have tenants in place, because if you have a lease, there's rules that you have to follow. But you always know where your money's at. You know how much the value of your home is. You know how much you owe, how much equity you have, how much equity is growing. You have followed your money.
It's recorded with the county. You can look online. You can touch and feel it, and that's a really comfortable place to be, just to know where my money is and what it's doing at all times, anytime I want to check.
And to put it in perspective, do you remember that company called Enron?
Yes, I do.
And so they had lots of paper in their office, lots of paper with a lot of zeros at before the decimal. And it turns out that somebody put the decimal in the wrong place.
Wow.
Because I don't think they had a lot of money at the end. And so there's something to be said about real estate because you can touch it, you can feel it, you know where your money's at all times. Now, what about with real estate? What about the market? What's the market doing right now, Julie?
Well, it's appreciating. We're seeing some really great things in the market. And what I've heard is that it's a seller's market.
What is a seller's market?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm supposed to run from a seller's market. You tell me, Daniel.
Okay.
Does that mean that I should?
Well, here's why I want to bring this up. So during the last time, so we've been talking on the air for a little bit now.
Okay.
And phone's blown up, and I had 3 people call. And they're like, I heard that it was a seller's market. I heard that you work with the Cromford Report, Michael Orr, Tina Tambor, Tom Ruff, like the 3 most knowledgeable people regarding market data that exists in Maricopa County. And the person that answered the phone was like, yes, that's true. It's all true. And they're like, okay, I want to sell. If it's a seller's market, you guys are the experts. I mean, you're investment property experts. You've been in business for 18 years. I want to become part of the IPX family. You said it's a seller's market. You work with Michael Orr, Tina Tambor. You work with Tom Ruff. I want to sell. And so finally I got called over. Luckily it was during the break, and I talked to this person, and I explained. I said, look, a seller's market is where the market is appreciating. Now, yes, it's true. It's very, very, very difficult to buy properties in a seller's market. But once you have properties, you want to keep the properties in a seller's market because a seller's market is an appreciating market. What market are we in right now?
Seller's market.
Wrong. We're in an appreciating market.
Appreciating seller's
Wait a minute.
market.
Seller's market is an appreciating market. We're both right. Oh, it always works out that way. So the point that I'm trying to make is that we are in a seller's market. Right now is the time to buy if you can buy right. Right now is the time to hold because the market's appreciating, because a seller's market is an appreciating market. But the problem is it's very difficult to buy in a seller's market because chances are low inventory, high demand, because that's what we have now. And that's where we come in. Guys, we've been buying properties in bulk. I'm talking 100 to 200 properties at a time. I'm talking about entire subdivisions, okay? And so if you want to buy investment real estate, we will start off buying the investment real estate. We will spend the 10, 15, 20 million a month, buy the real estate, bring it in, vet the tenant, renovate the property, and or renovate and find a new tenant, and then we will present the property to you. Let me rephrase. Julie will present the property to you, and you get to select your very best investment property that you would like to purchase from the comfort of our office. But one thing we can't do for you, and that's call 602-254-6244.
Daniel, recently I had a one-on-one meeting with a husband and wife. They happen both to be real estate agents. Just made me wonder, why are they here with investment property experts?
Can I pause you right there 1 second?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a joke for you.
Okay.
3 real estate agents sitting in a room. What were they talking about? Real estate.
Real estate? Okay, I wasn't sure where to go with that, Daniel.
Okay, finish your story. I'm sorry. You and 2 other agents were sitting in a room.
Yeah, and what were we talking about?
Real estate.
And we were. But the reason they were here is they wanted to use their IRA money. And the reason I brought this up is you were talking about property that we are able to acquire that other people have a hard time finding. As we were sitting there talking, and I was starting to show them some of our inventory, and we were looking at price range and everything else, it was very, very apparent that what we had to offer, they couldn't find on the MLS.
Yeah.
They could not find on their own without going through the process we go through, which they're not good at.
And they were agents. They have access to anything and everything that any other agent would. Okay, so think of it this way. Mr. and Mrs. Investor, these are the people that you might call to try to help you buy investment real estate. They're coming to our office to have them help us.
Yes.
Okay? Do you know how many times we have agents come to our office? Right. Did I say that back? Okay,
yes.
Close enough. But do you know how many times that we have agents come to our office? This is mind-blowing, okay? How many times we have agents come into our office and they're like, I got this client that wants to buy investment real estate. And then they come to us to basically outsource the service. I'm like, let me get this straight. You want me to help you help your client, and you're an agent. Why not just help your client or just bring your client to us?
They can't find the deals we can find, and that's just Plain and simple.
We know how to take care of business because we've been doing this for 18 years. So if you want to become part of the IPX family, then all you need to do is pick up the phone and dial 602-254-6244. Schedule that one-on-one. Get a copy of the Jumpstart Guide. Get a copy of the Cromford Report. How do you do that? By calling 602-254-6244 or go to investmentpropertyexperts.com.
Real estate investing has never been easier. Welcome back to Investment Property Experts with your host, CEO Daniel Butterfield.
Welcome back to Investment Property Experts. This is Daniel Butterfield, CEO and founder of Investment Property Experts, where we help investors do two things: create cash flow and increase their net worth. To create cash flow, all you have to do is invest in deeds of trust and earn 9% return, which is $750 for every $100,000 invested. If you want to buy properties, you can increase your net worth by purchasing properties. And don't worry, we can help you roll over your IRA. We can help you create a checkbook control LLC. We can help you get financing on your IRA. With only 30% down, you can buy a property with your IRA. We can help you get conventional financing. And best of all, cash still works. You can still buy properties with cash. You don't have to use leverage, but if you want to increase your return, if you want to leverage to increase your return, that's probably the best route, but it depends on your strategy. To figure out your strategy, all you have to do is call 602-254-6244 and schedule a one-on-one meeting with us with Investment Property Experts. So I have Julie Weisenbach, who's part of our investor sales team. Julie, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Daniel.
So you've been meeting with a lot of clients. Tell me a little bit about what they've been asking you. What kind of common questions do you think investors have?
Well, they generally like to know what it is we're all about. But some of the key questions that are asked are, and we tapped on this earlier, how much does it cost to invest outside of their investment principle? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I'm asked often is 100% of my investment going towards my investment, or does that go towards your administrative fees? What does it cost me to work with you?
I remember getting that question once in a while.
Right.
And honestly, at first I was perplexed. I'm like, well, what would they pay for? What would they pay us for? And so when I'm sitting there asking that question, or I'm hearing the question asked, I was very confused. And the reason I was very confused is because I'm in my world. I'm in the real estate world. It's like, why would you pay somebody to help you invest? And then I realized all of a sudden, financial advisors actually charge fees. Mutual funds charge fees. In fact, pretty much everyone out there charges fees except for
IPX. But, I was listening to the radio even and heard an advertisement, another real estate company who's wanting to solicit people to become members of their team. And when I investigated that further, they were actually charging me for education and wanted me to pay a pretty big sum of money to be a part of who they are.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen that before. So they talk up about all this great stuff that they can do for the investor. And then all of a sudden, after they get to read all this literature and information and come to a meeting or some seminar or something like that, they say, okay, guys, pull your checkbook. And for the next 9.5 minutes, you too can be part of our team. And it's like so confusing. It's like, so I have to pay to play? And it's like, what do I get? Well, you get a little bit of education. Now, I know some people have done this. Mm-hmm. And so they pay. And then they go through, 4 hours worth of training and this and that. And then you know what they say? They say, you're no longer part of our team. But if you want to rejoin, you can write another check and you can be part of our team again. And literally, they'll bring you through 1, 2, 3, 4 different classes. And all of a sudden, at the end, you end up spending, I've seen people spend up to $50,000 to become part of that team. So let's bring it back to IPX, Investment Property Experts. How much does it cost to be part of our IPX family?
I believe zero. Just come in, pick up the phone, make an appointment, come visit with us, and that is zero.
See, we don't make money off of our clients. We make our clients money. Big difference.
That is so important. The time we make money is when we sell you a property, and when we sell you a property, you're going to make money. So yeah, we don't charge for these services. We just have it structured in a fashion that is a win-win for everybody.
But what is the one thing we can't do?
We cannot have them pick up the phone and call.
And that's why you got to call 602-254-6244 or go to investmentpropertyexperts.com. Now, I just realized we misspoke, okay?
Uh-oh.
I got to correct us. Everyone pay attention now. Well, wait, finish dialing the phone. Okay, there we go. So here's the deal. 100% of your investment goes towards your investment. That's sort of true and sort of not true. Here's what I mean by that. If you buy a house for $200,000, let's just say you bought it for cash and you invested $200,000 on your property. Did you really invest $200,000, or did you get a value of, say, $220,000?
Okay, light bulb off in my head. You're talking about the
Well, turn it back
equity.
on then, Julie. Turn it back on.
Well,
don't shut it off
it went
now.
on.
We got one more segment left. Turn it
Okay.
back on.
They are purchasing a property with equity.
That's right.
So what would
So
their
they invest
percentage be?
$200,000, and then all of a sudden they look at their house and they're like, oh, it's worth $220,000. It's like 110%. It's like when you invest 100% of your money with IPX, you get 110% back.
Wow.
What other investments can do that for you?
I can't think of one. And not only that, it's appreciating. So after how many months, years, depending how long you want to hold the property.
Wait, it's appreciating because it's in a seller's market.
Seller's market.
Because a seller's market is an appreciating market.
Correct.
Guys, if you've not gotten a copy of the Cromford Market Report yet, that's the next step for you. Call 602-254-6244. We will send you out a complimentary copy, color printed and bound, of the Cromford Market Report. This market report has a value of $2,500. I'm the one that paid for it. And so if you too want to understand what I know, all you have to do is call 602-254-6244. I want to bring up a side point. We talked earlier about how we work with agents. But in addition to that, did you know we work with financial advisors? Did you know that about 10% of our clients are actually financial advisors rolling over their IRA into self-directed IRAs, into checkbook control LLCs, so that they too can grow their net worth, so they too can also get cash flow? Why do they come to IPX? It's not just because we are the best, but it's also because we're in a seller's market, an appreciating market, and now is the time to buy real estate because we're in a seller's market, which is an appreciating market.
So we've talked about purchasing property. We've talked about lending to individuals who purchase these properties and deed of trust. Just a quick question. If I am invested in whether it's a property or a deed of trust, and my property is appreciating or my deed of trust is, complete, can I reinvest? I mean, how does that work? And can we take the equity out of a property and continue to grow because I'm just not quite satisfied and I want more? What's the term?
Okay, so let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
I have a client, millennials. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so they came to us and they already owned a property, husband and wife.
Okay.
And so they already owned a property, and they were skeptical, right? They had to meet with us. They came to an event. They maybe met with us again. And when I met with them, they said, okay, we want to buy an investment property. Here's what we've done so far. We want to buy another one. I said, okay. We looked at some properties. They ended up buying one. Within about 2 months, they came, I talked to them again at another event. And you have to ask yourself, why do existing clients keep on coming to our events? Because they love us, because they're part of our IPX family. And so after they bought their second property, after 2 months, they realized that their second property was a lot better than the first one they bought on their own. So what do you think they did? They bought a third property. How do you think they did it? Because they had money laying around? No. Because their property number 2 that I sold them appreciated so much, I was able to give them a second mortgage on property number 2 so they could buy property number 3.
Really?
Once you get 1, you get 2, you get 3, and you just grow your net worth. Guys, if you want to be part of the IPX family, all you have to do is call 602-254-6244 or go to investmentpropertyexperts.com. Do not forget to check out upcoming events on our website, investmentpropertyexperts.com, and don't forget to call 602-254-6244.
Real estate investing has never been easier. Welcome back to Investment Property Experts with your host, CEO Daniel Butterfield.
Welcome to Investment Property Experts. This is Daniel Butterfield, CEO and founder of Investment Property Experts. So we've been talking about investing in real estate, growing your net worth, and a lot of folks believe that they missed out on the window of opportunity. Well, yes, it's true, okay, but it's not over. And let me explain. Ever since the crash, 2009, 10, 11, it's been a good time to invest. The market peaked in 2012. It evened out around 2014, and then it started to take off again in 2015 and 2016. For the next 2-3 years, we're going to be in a seller's market. So you now have another window of opportunity to invest. Now, the reason I say you missed one window is because you did. I mean, let's face it. In 2010, 11, properties were cheap. Anyone that you know that bought property in 2009 and 10 has done very, very well. So let me ask you a question. Why haven't you? What is your excuse? You know what you can do is you can call me, schedule an appointment, and let me know why you didn't buy. Let me have an opportunity to counter the reasons why you didn't invest in real estate and hugely increase your net worth. Now, one time I got invited to speak at a, I guess you could call it some sort of a educational type seminar. And I'm like, I have no problem. I'm not going to charge anything. I'm just going to speak, educate some people in a room. And I guess the guys wanted, the people that hosted this wanted to take me out to lunch and all this kind of stuff. I guess that was my payment, lunch. Great. Anyhow, so obviously I had a reason to be there, potentially some investors or something like that I might be able to meet. So I did this presentation, and I'm talking about all this stuff, and they're just kind of looking at me funny, like funny on the edge of their chair and enthralled, okay? And then afterwards, I got done, and I got rushed. Everyone came to the front of the room. They're like, Daniel, you have all this great information. Where'd you learn all this stuff? And I'm like, well, because I stay 7 steps ahead of the market. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, because I studied the technical indicators of real estate. Well, we don't know about that. I'm like, okay. Well, but and then I realized, finally somebody pulled me aside, and they're like, we paid $30,000 for this 4-day course. I'm like, are you kidding me? And they're like, no. I'm like, did you pay up front? and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, wow. And so I'm sitting there explaining the Cromford report, technical indicators. Where do I get this? I'm like, are you licensed? No. Well, then you can't get it because it's only for licensed real estate professionals. And so then I had another guy come to me, and he's like, oh, hey, I have this deal for you. I'm like, here I am educating these guys that obviously need a lot of help. And then all of a sudden somebody's throwing a contract in my face saying, hey, I got this deal. And so I look at it, and I'm like, okay, I'll have it analyzed. Now, I never end up buying properties from, individuals, right? I have my own strategy. I source my property in the right way. And so I had it analyzed. And by the time lunch was done, I found out that the property was like upside down. He was paying $25,000 more than what he should have paid.
Oh, man.
And so I let him down easily that I was not going to buy his property. It's just not my type of deal. That's all I said. Didn't want to insult anyone. But it just goes to show you that if real estate investors are not 7 steps ahead by looking at the technical indicators, then they're going to end up overpaying for their investment. And that is the moral of the story. And that's why you need to call 602-254-6244 so that we can teach you how to be 7 steps ahead of your retirement.
So being ahead of the game is really important, and studying these indicators obviously are key. But there's more to it than that. We have institutions coming to us for help. You were sitting in a educational seminar and didn't even realize that they had paid this kind of money to get this knowledge that they could come here and get free.
So that's the irony that you just pointed out, is that they spent about as much money on education as they could have
for a property.
Yeah.
And that could have doubled their investment.
I know. And then after 2 years, 2-3 years, They could have had 60 instead of 30 instead of losing negative 30.
Well, and I'd like to point out, too, that anyone could call me, you, any one of our team members, anytime they want, and ask me a question and pick my brain for free. I am here to help. I'm here to take care of whatever questions you might have and to help find a comfort level within investing in real estate that they may not have 10 minutes ago or yesterday.
And I want everyone to know I'm always accessible. That's a very important part of the process, and here's why. And the reason is because I found that if you design an investment strategy that does not make sense and you start going down the wrong path, it's very, very difficult to go back in time and fix a problem in the future. And that's why I like to spend a lot of time up front designing the right investment strategy so I can get investors on track so they can get to their C, their goal. And once you're on track, once you're on your goal, the only thing you need to do is check in every once in a while. Yeah, once a year, once every 6 months. Whenever you feel comfortable, check in and take a look at your investment strategy to make sure you're going in the right direction. But again, the one thing we can't do is we can't dial the phone for you.
Right.
We can't dial the phone for you. Remember that one time when we were talking and we said we
Maybe
can't
we
actually
can.
pick you how? No, yeah, that's right. I remember we did try to dial the phone live, but that I don't know. Well, I think it did work. That's what's scary. And then the other thing that we said we couldn't do is we couldn't pick them up and bring them to the event. But then we figured out we actually could if we wanted to. But we're not going to, guys. Okay, we're not going to. Just make it simple on us. Dial the phone, 602-254-6244, or go to our website, investmentpropertyexperts.com.
When you do that and you call to have that one-on-one with us, we're going to do an individual assessment with you. And I think that's really important. Whether you meet with Daniel or you meet with myself or you meet with the two of us together, one of us is going to sit down with you and really define what your goals are and help make it happen. It's free. Okay, it costs nothing to come in and meet with us, and that's just one of our services, and we'd like to do that, get to know you on a personal level, and help.
It's a lot of people. Let's address something. Let's address the 600-pound gorilla in the room right now. Okay? Everyone right now is thinking, oh, this just sounds so complicated. It is. Investment real estate's not simple. It's cutthroat. You can lose money, you can make money. But if you know what you're doing and you have the right guidance from your IPX family, we can make this easy. And that's why you owe it to yourself to schedule a 1-hour consultation with IPX so we can show you how easy it is. I can't tell you how many people we've met where at first they were so nervous. They delayed for 6 months. They delayed for 3 months. They delayed for a year, 2 years. I have an investor that delayed for 4.5 years. He ended up investing almost $2 million. Add this up. If he would have invested that $2 million for the 4.5 years, how much more money would he have made in those 4.5 years? So don't be that guy. Don't be comfortable. Come to an event, get educated, get to know us, meet our team, meet our existing clients. Go to our website, investmentpropertyexperts.com. Now, 602-254-6244. That's the number you call to get a hold of Investment Property Experts. Now, we have some events coming up that I want to talk about. This is very important. The third Thursday of September, we have an IPX Wealth Workshop. IPX Wealth October. What month is it? October. No, it's September. Next month is October. The third week of October, we have an IPX Wealth Workshop. If you want to get to know us, all you have to do is go to investmentpropertyexperts.com. You can read about us. You can register for the event. You can call us to schedule a one-on-one consultation, which is 602-254-6244. The number again is 602-254-6244. Don't forget, guys, we're your full-service turnkey real estate solution provider. We can help you create cash flow. We can help you increase your net worth. But the one thing we can't do is dial the phone, 602-254-6244.